All right, guys, welcome. We should be live now. Happy Wednesday. So I was just taking a look to see if we got any news recently. And Gordon Hayward, who was questionable, just entered the health and safety protocols. So I think it's a fair guess to say he will be out tonight. We did get news that Covington and Nasir Little are both out as well. So the Blazers are a little bit thin on the wing. And then we're still waiting on a lot of news still. So Barton's questionable. Hunter, game time decision. Scotty Barnes and Van Fleet both questionable. De'Aaron Fox questionable. Allen questionable. So a decent amount of stuff that we're still waiting on. I'm expecting that news to start flowing in somewhat soon. But yeah, if this is your first time coming and checking out live stream, guys, welcome. If you guys do enjoy these live streams, just make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Also, if you guys play Prize Picks, I released a video talking about some of my favorite player props today, and that's something that a lot of you guys enjoy. Let me know, and I'll try to continue to do those in the future. So go check that video out as well. But yeah, this will be a Q&A live stream, so leave some questions in the chat. Happy to answer them. I'll be live for a good 30 minutes. So yeah, let's do it, guys. Throw some questions in the chat. Let's see. So Harden LeVert, Man, Cam Johnson, Biyombo, Murray, Jalen Smith, and Rondo. Yeah, I like it. I think there's enough value on the slate to go stars and scrubs. I don't think LeVert gets much ownership. I think he's a sneaky tournament play. He had an awful first half last game. But this is like one of the best possible matchups, right? And he still almost had a triple-double, even though he played very bad in the first half. So I think LeVert's a good sneaky play. And then DeJounte Murray, I don't know if he gets a ton of ownership, but like that game in general looks good, right? You have Murray, you have Ja. So yeah, you have a couple lower on value. I don't think Jalen Smith or Rondo get much ownership. I think it's a solid tournament build. Van Fleet and Barnes play. Yeah, so if they don't play, like the Raptors are going to look pretty appealing, right? They ran a tight rotation, so the main guys, we saw a lot of point. Pascal Siakam, OG got a boost. Gary Trent Jr. got a boost. Siakam and Achua played a little bit more. Thanks, DK, for the new props content. Love it. Hey, Denise, glad you like it. Appreciate that. Jalen Smith, what does your gut tell you? So my gut tells me he's going to play the backup 5 and play low 20s minutes. I think he's a good value that will go overlooked. I'm thinking Biyombo's going to be relatively popular. And I think Biyombo's fine, but I think he makes an interesting fade tonight because I think the field's going to kind of overreact and jam in Biyombo. It's not like Biyombo's all of a sudden going to play way more. His role, he's already been playing pretty big minutes on the bench of, close to 30. So I don't think all of a sudden he's going to start playing like 38 minutes, right? What's going to happen is I think Biyombo starts and plays 26 to 30 minutes, and then Jalen Smith gets the rest at the 5. And with Rudy Gobert out, that's a pretty good spot for a guy like Jalen Smith. So I think he's a good contrarian value play that, again, will go overlooked. Gallinari, Cam Johnson. Yeah, for me, it's Cam Johnson. It's just the minutes, right? The Suns have like no wings. We can go talk about Phoenix. But yeah, they are just extremely thin right now. So I'm more like Cam Johnson might play 40 minutes tonight, right? Whereas Gallinari, he might play low 20s. But yeah, like again, they're missing both their main bigs. Cam Payne's out, Jay Crowder's out. So in the last game, Cameron Johnson played 38 minutes. I think we get pretty similar run, right? Just because Phoenix, they don't have a lot of options right now. So yeah, I think I'll go Cam Johnson there. LeVert, LaMelo, or Siakam? That's a good question. I like all three. It's kind of dependent on news. So if those two Toronto guys are out, I think I lean Siakam, right? Because we saw Siakam actually played a majority of the point, right? Did he have a triple-double? He came close to triple-double. He almost had like 50 at half and then just had a cardio second half. But yeah, we saw 12 assists from Siakam. He almost had a triple-double. So I think it would be Siakam if both those Toronto guys are out. And yeah, I think I would go there. If they're both in, then it's really close. Then I might say LeVert, who I like for tournaments, right? He had an awful first half last game, but again, the Charlotte is a team I love targeting players against. Like, we just saw what Toronto did to Charlotte, right? You had some guys put up massive scores, like Siakam smashed, Gary Trent smashed, OG Anunoby smashed. So it's a team I love targeting players against. Cam Johnson, Keldon, or Holmes? Yeah, that's a good. Are we talking straight up, or are we talking point per dollar? I like all three. Straight up, it probably is Keldon. But point per dollar, it's close to Cam Johnson or Holmes for me. You know, Holmes did play a decent amount last game, and he didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter, right? So his minutes have kind of been ticking up a little bit, right? 28. So if we're going to see like close to 30 minutes from him, I think he looks decent. But point per dollar, I think as it stands right now, small into Cam Johnson. Claxton out. Do you like Sharp? Thanks. Yeah, it's a good question, right? So I still don't trust Steve Nash. I still don't trust him. And here's the thing with a guy like Day'Ron Sharp. He's kind of like an undersized, like he's like an undersized center. So going up against Nikola Jokic, I mean, this is just my guess, but I would think they lean on Aldridge and maybe even the dust of Blake Griffin a little bit more over Day'Ron Sharp. I could be wrong about that, but I would think they lean on some of those veterans a little bit more against Jokic. And it's not like Aldridge or Blake Griffin are good defenders. I just think they have a little bit of a better chance than Day'Ron Sharp. So the answer is yes, I think there's a chance he plays more minutes, but I still don't trust. I still do not trust Steve Nash at all. When playing DFS, how do you know what is good chalk? I mean, most chalk these days is good chalk, right? Most of the high owned players in 2022 are going to be, the best point per dollar plays. Now they can still fail, right? There's variance, there's foul trouble, random blowouts, injuries, ejections. So, I mean, I would say most of the chalk that is chalk today is good chalk. But then again, it comes down in tournaments of, all the best point per dollar plays are usually the highest owned guys. But what it comes down to in tournaments is the pivots who don't look as good actually go way lower owned. So yeah, Suggs, Biyombo, or White. Again, is this straight up? I mean, it kind of depends what the rest of your lineup looks like with Biyombo. Discord's live. Nice thoughts on this. Harden, Halliburton. Okay, yeah, Halliburton will obviously keep an eye on De'Aaron Fox. Butler, Brown, Pirtle, Kennard, Johnson, Holmes. So, okay, Troy Brown. He played a lot last game. We do have DeMar DeRozan back who rested, so a little bit cautious there. Jimmy Butler, it's just an awful matchup. He's probably the one guy I would consider in that game, but that game is just so disgusting. And then Luke Kennard, he had a massive game last game, but the Clippers also benched all their starters and played him 10 minutes. So there's a few guys in there who, like Troy Brown, I think his minutes go down. Jimmy Butler, in an awful matchup. Kennard, his minutes will definitely go down and production will go down. Suggs or Coffee? I'll say Suggs between the two. Harden, Levine, or Murray and Morant? Murray and Morant for me. Well, I mean, for cash games, you should be playing Harden, in my opinion. So, what is it? Is it cash games? The thing is, I wouldn't play Levine in cash, though. So, I guess that's hard to answer. What's the late news tonight? Hayward protocols. Yeah, a lot of late news we went over on Underdog. Why would you fade Harden, or would you fade Harden and spend up on John Murray? I mean, you can. Fading James Harden without Kyrie and Kevin Durant is going to fail way more often than it comes through. So it's a massive risk. But could you get a floor? 60 fantasy point game from Harden? Sure, you could. But yeah, he's a scary fade. Chalk Biyombo to bust like Evan Phoenix Center. Yeah, I think Biyombo is going to be a little bit overowned. I personally am pumping the brakes a little bit on Biyombo. LaMelo Ball, CJ, Cam Johnson, Man, Biyombo, Garrett Trent, Lonnie Walker, and Jokic. Yeah, it's a fine GPP play. Obviously, you're going pretty contrarian. Your spend-ups of LaMelo, CJ will definitely, in my opinion, will be pretty low-owned. Jokic will be a lot lower-owned than Harden. So it's a pretty contrarian lineup. Halliburton killed my 3-point percentage. Cunningham, 70-burger last night. Cade is... When I play Cade Cunningham, he always is in foul trouble. It just tilts me so much. Yeah, Nurkic of those three. If Nurkic, CJ, and Kristaps, it's Nurkic. Holmes or Steven Adams. So it depends on the status of Brandon Clark. If Brandon Clark is in, I'll say Adams is a little bit safer because he's been playing over 30 minutes with Brandon Clark out. If Brandon Clark's out, I think I have a small lean to Holmes. I think Adams goes from like low 30s to like mid 20s minutes. Sub 4K. Let's see. Let's see. What do we have down here? Sub 4. I mean, the Spurs guys, in my opinion, all look pretty good. A lot of this is still dependent on news. I think Precious Achiuwa, even though he didn't play as much as we thought last game, would be a solid value if both those Raptors guys are out. You mentioned Mann. I think Mann looks pretty good, assuming he starts. I like Jalen Smith. And a couple Spurs guys look decent. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a standout right now. And again, there's some dependent on news. Trademark dusting off. Do love saying that. Balance their stars and scrubs. I think these stars and scrubs will be more popular. I think it's a little bit easier to go that route tonight. Not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best route, but I think it's going to be the more popular approach. Guys, again, if you're just coming in, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe. Again, I have a lot of content. NBA DFS, NFL DFS, NBA Top Shot, Prize Picks, Player Pops, ton of stuff. So if you guys do enjoy, just make sure to subscribe. We're about 100 concurrent viewers, so appreciate you guys coming in every day and supporting the live streams. Thoughts on playing Harden and Jokic or Murray and Morant? I'm playing Harden. I mean, playing Harden and Jokic is you're going to feel better about it. I think those two look great if you can surround them with enough value you're comfortable with. The Murray Morant one I think is more of the tournament one, right? I think a majority of people are going to play Harden tonight, as they should. But I do like that Murray Morant one to get different. It's just, in my opinion, a little bit riskier. And we're still waiting to see like Desmond Bane. If Bane is in, Murray's not going to look as good. Or Morant's not going to look, I should say. Benbury 24 to 30 seemed about right for minutes. He could play 10. He could play 30. So I have no idea what Steve Nash is going to do. Jalen Smith, yep, we went over that. I think he's a good tournament play today. I think he's going overlooked. I think a lot of people are going to go to Biyombo. I don't necessarily think Biyombo's a bad play, but I think Jalen Smith gets the backup 5 run and could be sneaky. Yeah, so Melton depends strictly on Bane. If Bane is in, I'm not playing Melton. If Bane is out, I think Melton versus Cam Johnson is close. I still feel a little bit better about Cam Johnson's minutes, though. Kevin Huerter might be kind of sneaky. I think both Hunter and Bogdanovich are going to play. They both went through shoot around. So when players go through shoot around, I think they're more on the probable side. Now, we've seen times where players go through shoot around and still miss, but more often than not, if a player does go through shoot around, I think he's playing. Fading all Clippers. Yeah, you don't have to play any Clippers, right? They're a team that the rotation's hard to figure out, right? They're kind of going with hot hand. I mean, you saw it last game. They benched all the starters. Now, that's not going to happen again, most likely. But yeah, it is hard to feel confident with basically any Clipper right now. Katie's cost me so much money last few weeks. I faded the last game. And yeah, exactly, right? I played him at low ownership. I played him low ownership a few times. Played him low ownership like 2 or 3 games ago, late slate. He fouled out in like 15 minutes. Like, come on. Goga's nice against Horn. I do like Goga. And I talked about him on Prize Picks. I think it was 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. If he stays out of foul trouble, like he's going to hit that over, right? If he doesn't get ejected, he does get in foul trouble. Bigs against the Hornets has been a thing all year. Thoughts on Jalen Brunson might be a little bit overowned. I think he's a neutral play for me. But if he's going to be a guy that's like picking up 20, 30% ownership on a 10-game slate, I'm fine going elsewhere. Now, Brunson's a guy when Luka's out, I just jam him in. There's Luka and Porzingis are both healthy. So yeah, Tim Hardaway is out. Does that necessarily give Brunson a big boost? Maybe a little bit, but it's not one where if he's going to be pretty popular, I'm just going to look elsewhere. I think he's a fine play, but not someone I want to play at high ownership. Who will play for Little and Covington? Yes, good question. So let's go over to Portland. It's going to be guys that, are not super exciting. So they don't have these guys listed as out yet. But yeah, Little and Covington are both out. So Norman Powell, we'll keep an eye on the news here. He was on a limit in his first game back. He played 26 minutes. They could just unleash Norman Powell and play him 40 minutes. So you're going to see big minutes from Simon, CJ, Nurkic. And if Powell's not on a minutes limit, he's going to play big minutes too. And then you're just going to see, probably guys rotated in. So I think Ben McLemore sees a little bit more run. Maybe you see some 3-guard sets with a guy DSJ. Maybe Tony Snell, I would think, gets some run. CJ Elleby probably gets a little bit more run. But there's nothing here that Powell or Covington and Little are out. I gotta go play Tony Snell, right? No, it's kind of just a situation where a lot of low usage players will pick up more minutes. It doesn't really do much for the Portland Valley for me. Raptors news is killing you. Yeah, so what time is that game? That's a 7 p.m. Central game. So it's an hour after lock. So yeah, we might not get that news before some of these early games start, which would make things a little bit tricky. It would. Tony, yeah, they're probably going to do something like that, right? Have you lost all hope for Clay Anthony? He's been killing me. He's lost me a lot of money too. He has. No, I've not lost faith. He's still a guy that's been pretty high usage. He just has not been hitting the shots recently. Also, Jalen Suggs has been playing a little bit better of late, which has kind of hurt Cole Anthony. So I've not lost faith, but on this slate with Suggs playing, right? Seafood or Italian? I'm a big seafood guy, so seafood. O'Shea Brissett doesn't really stand out. Like it was last game, right, where both the bigs got in foul trouble, right? So we actually saw both Goga and Isaiah Jackson get in foul trouble. So we saw more minutes for a guy like O'Shea Brissett to play 33 minutes. If you think, I don't think both bigs get in foul trouble again. So if that's the case, we're probably going to see, maybe 20 minutes for Brissett. So yeah, no real interest in O'Shea Brissett. I think maybe there's some people that try to chase it, but you have to realize what happened in that game. You had massive foul trouble for Goga and foul trouble for Isaiah Jackson as well. That's why you saw extended run. Yeah, Smith or Martin. Martin's going to be your safer bet, right? Without Gordon Hayward, he's probably going to start and play 30 plus minutes. He played 37 last game. He hasn't been great in the starting lineup, but he's still he can go for 30. We've seen a couple upset games here from Cody Martin, so he's definitely your safer bet. I think Jalen Smith is interesting. I don't know if I would play him with Biyombo, though. I don't know if I would do that. How can you tell? Well, I don't look at ownership, but I'll also listen to some other stuff to try to gauge what ownership's going to be. But yeah, looking at ownership is going to be easier to do to tell if a player's going to be higher than they should, I guess. Any value in Portland you like? Not much. I don't think there's anything that stands out. Buy down Holmes or Cam. Again, I think Cam is your safest bet for the minutes. Yes, I do like Goga. I think he's going overlooked today. He got massive foul trouble last game. Let's just go to Goga, right? This is one of the best matchups here against Charlotte's front court. So this game against Golden State played 31 minutes, but he got ejected in the third quarter. Okay, he was on pace to smash. He had 35 fancy points while getting ejected in the third quarter. This game against Phoenix, no foul trouble, no ejections, 35. This game against the Pelicans, he was in massive foul trouble, still put up 22 in 22 minutes. So I think Goga is a solid tournament play that I agree. He's going to be low owned. Tiers, Trey, DeJounte, or Ja. If there's no Desmond Bane, I'll say Ja. Yeah, I think Rondo's another guy that's going overlooked, right? So I think a pretty popular play today, if Jared Allen's going to be out, it's going to be Dean Wade. Who, sure, Dean Wade is fine. Not exciting, not a great point per minute guy, but yeah, I get it. I get why he is going to be relatively popular. Well, if Dean Wade in tournaments, if Dean Wade's going to get all that ownership, just give me Rajon Rondo for a fraction of it, right? Sure, Rondo's not going to play as many minutes. He's going to be much more productive when he's out there. And we've actually seen, games where Rondo has played over 20. He's got 29 minutes from him against Golden State. In GPPs, if that is going to be the case, let's just assume that Jared Allen's out and Dean Wade is going to continue to start, who I think starts still no matter what, but Ed Davis probably starts too. But I think Dean Wade will be pretty popular if that's the case. And in tournaments, I would just rather go to a lower owned Rondo. current, I don't know. Haven't done a current in a while. My best ever was a year out of college or 6 months out of college, did 335. But yeah, I have not done a bench PR in a while. Bogdanovich or Bridges. So wait, is that Miles Bridges or Mikal Bridges? I'm not really interested in Mikal Bridges tonight. He'll play big minutes, but yeah. How do tiers work? I don't play it, but I think there's 6 tiers, and you have to pick one player from each tier basically. 5.3 No, I mean on FanDuel that looks pretty good. If you're playing cash, I would probably play Cole Anthony and FanDuel. What player screwed you over last night? Porzingis. Porzingis got ejected. I low on Porzingis. He got ejected. Who else did? Halliburton. Halliburton started the game 0 of 7, and they lost by 83 points. So Halliburton and Porzingis. Lock those two in. Yeah, lock those two in for a big night. Yeah, I wouldn't play either Force or Butler. I honestly wouldn't play either. Right back to both LeVert. I think LeVert's a good tournament play. You see Whiteside? Yes. Whiteside. So I was a little bit worried in his first game back that they would limit his minutes. Nope. They just ran him out there, ran him into the ground, and played him 33 minutes in his first game back from 2 weeks of COVID. So I am not worried. I think if he stays out of foul trouble, he's probably playing over 30 minutes against a relatively big Phoenix front court. Right? Phoenix has a traditional big out there at all times. Yeah, Ja or Murray, it's a good question. I like both. Lean Ja if Desmond Bane's out. Goga or Nurkic? Nurkic. Goga or Pirtle? That's pretty close. I'll say Pirtle for cash, Goga for tournaments. Goga or Biyombo. If you're playing Jalen Smith, I'd rather go Goga. Nasir Little's out. Keldon or Trent. If both the Raptors guys are out, it's going to be Trent. Had 368 last night, barely cashed. Yeah, I mean, that will happen, right? When the chalk smashes like it did last night, that's just going to happen. Not much. I don't really, I mean, I think if there's no limit at Norman Powell, he looks okay, but I'm not going to go start looking for Blazers value because it's just all gross, right? It's Tony Snell, it's CJ Ellaby, and it's Ben McLemore that probably gets more run. Yeah, I think Cam Johnson's a solid play. Patty Mills, fine option, should be the number 2 in offense, probably plays around 30 minutes. The price point is not amazing on him. He's almost 5K, but I think he's like kind of a neutral play for me. Not going to prioritize Patty Mills. If he lands on my lineup his last piece in, sure, that's fine. 340, yeah, yep. I mean, again, that's going to happen. When all the chalk smashes like it did last night, that's going to happen. So if you're a player that plays your cash lineup in tournaments, you probably won a lot of money last night, right? Because basically the players that you saw a lot of guys have the same lineups, and that's just because basically the cash lineup or like some of the top projected lineups all went off because all the cash play, all the optimal plays basically smashed. So if you played your cash lineup at tournaments, you probably won a good amount of money last night. If you're a contrarian player, you lit your money on fire, right? If you played any bit contrarian last night, you lost everything. Yeah, I mean, it's doable, but I probably wouldn't. I think you're capping your upside playing Biyombo and Jalen Smith together. If they were both like sub 4K, then I would be more fine with it. Biyombo being almost 6K, I'm probably not going to do it. Yeah, Trent or Hunter, if both the Raptors guys are out, it's pretty clearly Trent for me. Yeah, I would go John Morant. If there's no Desmond Bane, I would go John Morant there in the tiers. I think Rondo plays around 20. Yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen in recent games, right? So, Rondo's played 4 or 5 games so far for the Cavs, right? So, his first game, he played 17 minutes. Second game, he played 29. Then he played 20. And then his first game back from injury, he played 18. So, I think we get around 20 minutes from him in those 4 games, 24, 26, 22, and 19. Right? He's going to handle the ball and Garland's not out there. He'll play some alongside Garland. It's not a play that like I'm in love with, but I do think he's a good pivot off Dean Wade chalk. Holmes or Bamba? That's another good question. I'm going to say Holmes for the discount, but we've seen some big Bamba games, right? Bamba can break a slate. Devin Vassell, I actually think like the Spurs value looks good, which is scary, right? Like, oh, anytime I target any Spurs, it's just, you're kind of crossing your fingers that you don't get popped. But again, like the likes of like Vassell, Lonnie Walker, and Doug McDermott, I think are all pretty decent value plays. The mid range looks okay. There's actually a lot to like on the Spurs, which is very, very scary to say. It's very scary. Fave underrated game stack? Uh, Underrated. Well, I'm trying to say. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be super popular, but Dallas Portland. I don't think it's gonna be super popular stack. Well, I think the popular stacks will probably be Memphis, San Antonio, Sacramento, Atlanta, Denver, Brooklyn will probably be up there because you have both teams are shorthanded, and maybe Charlotte, Indiana. So I'll say Dallas and Portland. James Harden scary fade if I go Yoke. I mean, yeah, Harden's gonna be a scary fade, right? He just is. He's gonna do everything for the team. So yes, it is a scary fade. Can playing Jokic over Harden work out? Yeah, it can. I mean, Jokic has insane upside too. But I think if you're going to ask me who I prefer between the two straight up, not considering ownership, it's going to be Harden, right? Because Harden's like $1,000 cheaper. Can't fade Jokic, man. He always does good. Yeah, I mean, Jokic is a good spot too. I think you could play both. You could it's not super hard, guys, to do this. There's enough value to definitely do that. And you could still get like one more somewhat star in your lineup too. Right? You could do this if all the Toronto guys are out. You could do that and then go to like a bunch of value. It's possible. Like you can make that work. So yeah, I think you could play them both together. CJ, Halliburton, or LaMelo. Halliburton if there's no De'Aaron Fox. I'm not sure what the ownership to me on LaMelo. I'm kind of intrigued by him though because he's cheap. Right? LaMelo is cheap. I don't look at ownership, so I guess the guys that have ownership in front of them let me know. But do we think LaMelo is going to be super popular? I don't have a good read on it. He has not been great recently, but 8.1 also feels pretty cheap. So again, I don't have a good read on the ownership. If LaMelo is going to be low owned, I think he's a solid play. Jokic Harden, yeah, you can definitely do that. You worried about Denver blowing out Brooklyn? James Harden sitting early? Not really, because I mean the Nuggets really haven't been great. Also, Will Barton's questionable. Okay, let's take a look at the spread. I don't think, and Brooklyn's also playing at home, right? Yeah, 2.5 points. The Nuggets are favored by 2.5. So I literally do not have any worry really. Terrence Davis out. Yep. I also had him in my lineup as a lower owned play. Again, if you played any bit contrarian last night, you lost. You just lost. You had to play all the chalk. You had to play all the chalk Raptors, all the chalk Pelicans, and Harden. If you didn't, you lost. Triple J, Cole, or Pirtle. I'll say Pirtle for 30. Like Aldridge, I think he's more in play. Yeah. Still don't fully trust Steve Nash. I think Aldridge will play some center. I think Sharp will play some center. I also think we might see some Blake Griffin at the 5 too. So I think both are in play. I think Stars and Scrubs is going to be more popular. Not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to go, but I think that's the way a majority of people will go. Butler or Murray? It's hard to feel good about anyone in the Miami Knicks game, right? Because both teams play at a snail's pace. Both teams are solid defensively, especially Miami. Jokic, Giannis, or Harden in tiers? Harden. But it's close to Harden and Jokic, but I'll say Harden. Man Precious or Cody Martin? That's a good question. I mean, they're pretty similar plays of guys I expect to play big minutes and relatively low usage. I'll say Terrence Mann, assuming he starts. Jingles love, not at his price. He's too expensive. There's honestly not much on Utah I love kind of outside of Whiteside, right? I mean, 5K Ingles, if he was like 4K, yeah. 5K, Ford, 43. Let's see. 4,300. Cam Johnson for me. He's 43, yeah. Are we talking 43 and under or under 43? If it's 43 and under, it's Cam Johnson. If it's under 43, so 42 and under, then there's not one that really stands out, right? We have Martin, we have Mann, who I think are both relatively low usage, but should play big minutes. So I would probably go to one of those guys who are playing for safety. Forward, 4.6. Yeah, so 4.6 forward. I think it would still be Mr. Cam Johnson for me. All right, guys, wrapping up. Again, really appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. If you are playing Prize Picks tonight, make sure to check out my video uploaded earlier today talking about some of my favorite player props. Let's see. Jokic, Mann, and Lonnie Walker, Harden, Keldon, and James Johnson. Again, the Spurs value and the Nets value is just like, I'm going to say that second one. But that's assuming we get, mid-20s minutes from James Johnson like we have last couple of games. Am I confident in that? Absolutely not. Yeah, Murray and Morant, I've asked that a few times. I like them both. If there's no Desmond Bane, I'd lean Ja Morant. But I like both tonight. PJ Washington, fine play. Probably plays mid-20s minutes. Does have upside. So yeah, just squeeze Harden and Jokic. Yeah, you can make it work. I'm not saying to do that, but it is something you can do if you want to. LaVine or DeRozan, that's another good question. So the Bulls guys are always so hard for me to nail down who's gonna have a big night when they're priced about the same. I'll say LaVine, but that's really just more of a gut call. That's not really. It's basically a coin flip with those two Chicago guys because they're priced the same, right? They're 8-2 and 8-3, right? Yeah, so I'll say LaVine, but Davion Mitchell, no Fox, becomes playable. Not someone I'm super excited about, though. He played 30 minutes last game, went for 10 fancy points. Harden, White, Cam, Mann, Jokic, Kennard. Okay, yeah. I think it's solid. You got some low, Plumlee will be low owned. I'm fine with him in tournaments. We talked about Jalen Smith being, I think, a solid GPP play, assuming we don't get trolled. I'm pretty sure he's going to play the backup 5, but you just never know with the Suns. Yeah, I think it's a solid lineup. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, though. So, again, good luck tonight. 10 games. Hopefully, I have some big winners. Hopefully, there's no tilting. And I'll see you. We only have 2 games tomorrow, which is pretty annoying. But I will see you guys back here tomorrow. So, good luck. And hopefully, again, we have some big winners tonight.